If you're following Depp vs. Heard, you might know Amber's got a friend named Eve Barlow, I must mention, who got kicked out of Virginia for tweeting live during the trial. Also, some people say Eve is a journalist, some people say romantically involved with Amber. Whatever Eve is, Eve will not stop defending Amber on Twitter. Well, defending's an odd word. Let's just say tweeting about Amber with miscellaneous opinions. So this one's from January 4th, 2023. And it says, I agree you don't have to like Amber to believe her, but I still face the barrage of comments that she didn't come across well, and that is a soft way of saying she is culpable. Amber is a reminder that everyday women are R-worded and abused because they're sexualized. I don't know about that. That's a deep subject. But honestly, I'm not talking about everyday women. If I was, I'll make a video on it, and it'll be pretty positive. I've got no reason in the world not to believe everyday women, or I should say women in general. Nurses, school teachers, doctors, things like that generally do not have a motive to lie. I'd assume most of them, like statistics say, are probably telling the truth about abuse. But we're talking about high profile celebrity stars with millions of dollars in the lines who have a huge, huge voice in the media and on social media, like Amber, like Evan Rachel Wood, like Angelina Jolie. So these people cannot be treated as everyday women and simply just believed. They're not everyday women. They're actually special in a way. I don't mean special in a positive way. I just mean special in a way they're separated from the crowd of the everyday woman. And then Eve goes on to say this. People objectify and dehumanize women every day, especially those deemed appropriate to sell an image or idea of sex. The trial busted the myth of male and female fantasy by brutally unveiling that a woman often gets hurt in the process and she will pay if she talks about it. But wait a minute. Amber Heard willingly did a lot of nude scenes in movies before she got big. There are actually some floating around YouTube, by the way. Some movies I don't even know where she just jumps in a lake naked, things like that. Also, she got $50,000 of plastic surgery. Does that sound like somebody who doesn't want to be seen as a beautiful sexual person to be desired over? I don't think so. And then Eve says, society isn't accustomed to accepting that their chosen sex symbols experience R-word, abuse, and assault and break down when they're forced to expose it. It ruins the facade. It affects commerce. It forces people to face their inner treatment of beautiful, powerful women. And then Eve retweets this from her friend Kat Tenbarge on NBC. People on the left and right, including women, all platform misinformation about Amber Heard herself and misinformation about abuse. Well, wait a minute. Let's think about this for a second, especially in the states which we're talking about. The left and right now, unless you're living under a rock, are completely divided. They're divided on so many issues, really polarized. It's really hard to get the right and the left to agree these days. It's never been harder in the history of the world. So I gotta think, when the right and the left do agree on something, it's probably because that thing is correct. If the left and the right are forced to agree on something, I tend to give that the most credibility. We've got opinions on police brutality, abortion, gun control, immigration, climate change, and as you know, those things are completely split down the middle. It's so hard to agree. If the left and right, politicians, social media users, teachers, agreed on one of those things, that would probably be the correct answer because the facts would be out there right in front of you undeniably. So I think this tweet here is a little bit of a exposure to yourself. And it continues, mutual abuse is a myth, but it was widely adopted by leftists as a justification to harass Amber Heard and other victims. I don't know much about that. I honestly don't see mutual abuse as something on the left. My politics are pretty balanced, so I'm critical of the left, but I'm on the left with certain things, and I just don't see that being a leftist issue. You guys who are more on the left and liberal, you tell me, is mutual abuse a leftist issue? And Kat continues, it wasn't just that the left didn't believe Amber Heard, the left also gleefully partook in the gendered harassment and mockery of Amber Heard. Left-wing influencers capitalized on the misogynist hatred and pushed harmful false narratives about surviving abuse. See, I disagree. I really do. If you look at the history of the big platforms, it was the right wing who was hitting Amber very hard. Steven Crowder, Ben Shapiro, Candace Owens. More of the extreme right wingers were speaking very frankly about her when the left was kind of doing both. You see some left calling her out, but the only ones defending her were on the left. In general, as far as I've seen, I've scoured Twitter accounts and things, and you just don't see like obvious far right stuff. Second Amendment, stop immigration, whatever's on the right, plus I stand with Amber. It just doesn't exist. And I challenge anyone who wants to send me something that says otherwise, because I've searched. But anyway, Cap keeps bringing up this political stuff. Engaging young boys in left-wing spaces isn't a solution to violent misogyny, because misogyny is a problem on the left too. Look at the bipartisan treatment of Amber Heard as just one example, and like I went through before, if the bipartisan agrees, that to me makes the thing more credible. It's when both sides disagree and we just can't come to a solution. It's like, well, what is it? Both sides have a good point, so I guess we're stuck in the middle. But if both sides say, yeah, Amber looks like you did Johnny wrong, I tend to give that more credit than the polarization. So thanks, Kat, for the confusing tweets that don't say anything really. But I will say this, Kat leaves her comments on, so that is a good thing, no joke. I applaud Kat for that. It's something that Eve doesn't do, Amber never did, so that's good. And here's some replies she got. Excuse me, but we don't believe people just because they claim something. Her own evidence proved that she's a liar and an abuser. It isn't so damn hard. Step on them Queen says exactly. And I think Step on them Queen is agreeing with Kat. And Sarah says Amber was caught in lie after lie, editing photos, police seeing no injuries, and more. That is the reason she was not believed, not because she is a woman. She does not represent all women and is hurting real victims out there when you keep trying to push her lies down our throats. And exactly, gotta say, stop with the all women stuff. If they just wanted to defend Amber and Amber alone and tell you why they think Amber was right, that's more acceptable to me. I get it. They probably know Amber in real life. She's a friend. They're not going to turn on her. But don't drag all women into it and create some narrative. And this one was posted for Kat. Amber Heard submitted the same photo as evidence for two different alleged incidents. Camille asked her to clarify which incident was the photo really from. This caused H to be angry, sarcastic, suggesting to unredact it. Maybe sarcastically they meant. Hashtag make it make sense. Anyway, that's about it here. Eve teaming up with Kat. Looks like they are not going to stop, and that means we are not going to stop. I'm on Twitter trying to get 3,000 followers, moving along a little bit. Maybe give me a follow. If you're not subscribed to the channel, consider it. I'm doing entertainment, pop culture, things like that. If you don't subscribe here, I'll be pretty sad about it, but I'll get over it. See you next time.